We're in Proverbs chapter 20, and I just want to, the last verse we were on was 23. I just want to make mention of it again, and then we'll move forward. But it's diverse weights are an abomination to the Lord, and dishonest scales are not good. And we spoke last week of how that can be applied in more than one direction, because quite often you can. That is just as valid in when we're talking about literal scales and literal weights, which were a part of the law of Moses. But we also see in places such as Micah 6 and 11, speaking of short measure and bag of deceitful weights, and Amos 8 and 5, making the ephah small and the shekel large, falsifying the scales by deceit. But we can also apply that, and we spoke of this, we can apply that concerning hypocritical judgment. You will be judged as you have judged. And with hypocritical judgment is that we have different weights concerning who it is. If it's an enemy who has done a certain thing, well, that was wrong. They should be punished fully. But if it's a friend or if it's yourself who has done the same thing, well, that's fully justified. That's okay. And I have a term for that, which I call hockey fan ethics. And I noticed this going to a hockey game, but it's just about any kind of sporting event you want. But they were much more vocal about it, calling where if there was the smallest sort of infraction against your team, oh, give them everything. Throw the book at them. But if it concerns your team, you're calling them to murder the other guy. Kill them, because that's justifiable. That's okay. And here is this uneven scale that is applied in judgment, where you can have one group, it's bad when they do it, but another group, oh, it's completely justified. It's okay. That should be done. And it comes down to this idea of we've got to even out the scales. You can't even out the scales when you're putting your thumb on the other side now. You can't do it. There must be complete, true justice. Now we come to verse 24. And this speaks of providence again. A man's steps are of the Lord. How then can a man understand his own way? All right, now this is one of those curious sayings. This would be in that area of enigma, if you ask me. The dark sayings of the wise, or riddles of the wise. And here, a man's steps are of the Lord. Well, we can go to 16 and verse 1. The preparation of the heart belongs to a man. All right? And let's look at the rest of that. So 16 and verse 1, the preparations of the heart belong to a man, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. Here is someone who has in fact prepared themselves. Someone also, as we have pointed out in 16 verse 1, here is the prudent who looks how to answer. And the prudent is going to get that from God. The prudent isn't just getting it from some source that seems right. The prudent is going to be getting that from God. Now, I just want for us to go to John, if you will, John chapter 3, and I want you to see something. John chapter 3. And this concerns Nicodemus. And verse 8, Jesus speaking to Nicodemus, the wind blows, so John 3 verse 8, the wind blows where it wishes, and you hear the sound of it, but cannot tell where it comes from and where it goes. So is everyone who is born of the Spirit. Someone who is worldly cannot really understand the direction of someone who is spiritual. Why would you want to commit yourself to certain things, to go to a Bible class, to study the Bible, to actually give every Sunday. And beyond that, why would you do these things? Why would you desire not to be where all the popular people are or where the party is? Why wouldn't you opt to be like that? But we come back to 20 and 24. A man's steps are of the Lord. How then can a man understand his own way? So there, actually, that is a very good thing to ask. How can a man understand his own way? If his directions are not led by the Lord, what are they being led by? Are they going to be led by his temptations and following sins and going deeper and deeper in that? Now, we can get back to the idea of providence in this, of Proverbs 21 and 31. The horse is prepared for the day of battle, but deliverance is of the Lord. We can do that too, but I think going with the 16 verse 1 route is a better route. That is, the preparations of the heart belong to a man, but you have that answer that comes from God. That a man who truly is taking his steps from the Lord, he is doing properly. And also cannot be readily understood by those outside. Those that see the message of the cross as foolishness, well, following the message of the cross is just as foolish or more so. Okay? And so they don't quite understand it at all. Now, verse 25. So we're in chapter 20, verse 25. It is a snare for a man to devote rashly something as holy, and afterward to reconsider his vow. Yet this is a thing of not being rash concerning your vows. Not just spouting something out from just raw emotion, or just spouting something out because it sounded good without any thought behind it. Is this even what you need to do? Is this something you can even do? Here afterward to reconsider his vow. It's a vow that should never have been said anyway. It was unnecessary. It was just done hastily and rashly, and we can see those such as Jephthah in Judges 11, verses 30 to 35, and what he vowed to do without any idea in his head that it could be his daughter. No idea. We can also look at someone like Herod in Matthew chapter 14, 6 through 12, and the vow that he gives, the promise that he gives, I'll give you up to half my kingdom. And that wasn't the request. The request was the head of John the Baptist. All right, now, truly there are some things, now granted with Herod didn't say, I vow to give you the head of John the Baptist. Would you like that? He didn't say that. But you have this rash sort of vow, I'll give you anything. But with Herod, because of the men surrounding him, he doesn't do the right thing, the rational thing, the just thing of saying, well, I didn't mean murder. That's all it would take. I didn't mean murder at all. But here is this whole notion of that something is being vowed and there's no thought brought into it at all, and then have to reconsider later. Verse 26, a wise king sifts out the wicked and brings the threshing floor over them. This goes back to Romans 13, verses 1 through 7. Proverbs 20 in verse 8, earlier in this chapter. A king who sits on the throne of judgment scatters all evil with his eyes. And this is justice, and justice done properly, because a righteous king sees to it. He sees to justice. He's not there just to luxuriate. He's not there just to take in all the wealth and all the privileges and have the feasts and the drunken feasts and all that. He's not there for that. He truly is going to be king, and he cares for his kingdom. And that means protecting the innocent. And of course, the righteous are among the innocent. He is going to protect them. And as we have seen, going back to scatters all evil with his eyes, because they fear justice. That is the wicked. The wicked or the evil, they are the ones that are being scattered because of justice being done, and then they're going to stop. Or that would be the rational thing to do, just to stop what you're doing. And of course, there were kings of Israel and kings of Judah as well, that it seemed as though they really didn't care a whole lot about who it was they were ruling at all. They didn't have an entire concern about the innocent. You have someone like Saul, who he's very much a mixed bag. Saul would go out to war to protect Israel. But Saul would also kill an entire village of Levites because they had helped David, or at least one of them had helped David. And he kills them all. And of course, that was to send a message to any and all that he won't stop at anything. And even if you're a priest, sure, I'll kill priests. Sure, I'll kill Levites. Don't you do it. Don't you help David. And that's truly being unjust. What did David do? He did nothing but right before Saul. He did nothing but right. It was the fact that Saul did not want David as the next king, even though he had already been anointed by the same prophet who anointed Saul. All right, Samuel did it both, and by God, who had Saul anoint them both. Verse 27. This is also one of those we need to take a little moment, because this is the spirit of a man is the lamp of the Lord, searching all the inner depths of his heart. All right, here is the spirit of a man. If we go to 1 Corinthians chapter 2, let's go there. 1 Corinthians chapter 2. And we begin in verse 11. For what man knows the things of a man except the spirit of the man which is in him? Okay, so yeah, that's correct. I think that's what Proverbs 20 and 27 does concern with. Even so, no one knows the things of God except the Spirit of God. So concerning man, what can anyone know about somebody else that their spirit doesn't know even more so? All right, now, Jesus, being deity, he could read people, he could know what they're thinking, he could know their intent, he could see right through them. He could know a lot about them because he is deity. He could do that. But for the rest of us, we don't. And people can seriously disappoint us, and people can also surprise us in the good and the bad ways of, I didn't know they would do that. And might have been good, that might have been bad. But the one who's inside that person, they know more about the person. And there's also some things we don't know. Like Peter can be told, you're going to deny Christ, and he doesn't think he would. And he finds himself, yeah, that's exactly what he did. And that untested, you don't really know that much about yourself. You can know what your track record, what you've already done. You can know that. But so is this the spirit of man knowing his mind and knowing his heart? Yes, there is that. Is this spiritual discernment? Yes, it is that, of discerning your own self and being able, is this self-appraisal. And that this can, anybody can do it. And of course, we need the Word of God for a true self-appraisal. We can know what we've done. We can know what we're likely to do. We can know, I remember as a kid, all right, of you need to do this. Yes, I will do that, knowing full well I'm not going to do that. I don't even know. I mean, I gotta agree with this, but I'm not going to do that. It's just not happening. And I knew myself, for at least in that limited way, of that the likelihood of me doing that just on my own and being willing to spend the time or whatever is just not. I'm not going to fool myself. I may try to fool somebody else, but fool myself? No, I'm just not going to do it.
But you're not talking about to your parents.
Why wouldn't I be? Yes, I would be. Any adult. Yes, I am. Teacher, parents, whatever it was, there would be things of where I was a child. Yeah, of where there's something that I was told, you need to do this. Yes, I will do it. It's like the two sons. The father goes to the first son. First son says, yeah, I'll do it. And he doesn't. He doesn't go out and do any work. He doesn't. Well, that would have been me as a child. And then you get a whipping. And then, yeah, all right, now I've been convinced. I've been convinced. That's what you, yeah, all right, we're not doing that anymore. And so...
somebody made that decision for you.
Yeah, that's right. The decision was made for me. Yes. And so, and that would be scatters all evil with his eyes. But okay, so the spirit of a man is the lamp of the Lord. He's able to know himself, searching the inner depths of his heart. Now, one may ask, is the man searching or is the Lord searching? Well, I think it's the man who is searching. And of course, as we said, true self-appraisal would have to incorporate the word of the Lord. And we can go... yeah, I'm just looking at some of my notes, and yeah, that's going to open up something I don't want to open up. Okay, so not right now, anyway. So we go down to verse 28. 28 is connected to 26. Mercy and truth preserve the king, and by loving kindness he upholds his throne. All right, three things there must be if a king is going to reign properly. And here they are: mercy, truth, and loving kindness. There must be that. And mercy is not just for the criminal. It's not just for the criminal. Mercy is going to also be for the innocent, for the victim. having mercy on them. Loving kindness is not just what you bestow on the guilty. And a man who has maybe it would be just for him to get the death penalty, but you decide, no, I'm not going to do it. All right, while one can say that's loving kindness, one can say that's mercy, but there's also a loving kindness that's to the innocent, to those who did not do these things, the one who are suffering from wickedness. There's a loving kindness that must be given to them. And all of this is going to be guided by truth, of where the king wants truth. For justice, there has to be truth in this. What is the truth of the matter? This guy says one thing, this other guy says another thing. Well, who's telling the truth here? One of them might be, both of them might not be. Both of them may be lying to you. You don't know what it is. But here is how to uphold a throne. And it requires these things. And as we have said before, anyone can show hostility. Anyone can become angry and fly off the handle. Anybody can do that. Anyone can. But here is this mercy and this loving kindness that can be shown. Now, this goes completely, and we may have talked about this with earlier in another chapter. But you have someone like Machiavelli. Machiavelli wrote the book The Prince, and it is that's a book on how to be unethical. Is it better to be loved or feared? He would say feared. All right, and really it's not. It is better to be loved, and because those that you are ruling over will do a lot for you. They'll make the sacrifices. But if it's fear, they're just marking time till you're gone. You may get things out of them. Yeah, you may. But they're just waiting till you're gone, and hoping that someone can rescue them. Hoping. That's what's happening. And so a wise king is one who is going to do justice, and then by and large his citizenry is going to love him for doing it. There will always be enemies, but those he rules over are more likely to love him. Now we come to verse 29. The glory of young men is their strength, and the splendor of old men is their gray head. All right, well, this is obviously one of those proverbs that you don't take it absolute literally. That somehow gray hair is the height of a look. All right, it shows age, but every age has an advantage. Everyone does. There is a reason why NASA did not want anyone going to the moon that was under 40 years old. They didn't. They wanted men that had some kind of experience, had more experience, and men that showed a greater deal of reliability, and they've got a proven track record, but also what they, who was, I forgot the writer, The Right Stuff, but having truly the right stuff, but it has some age that is there, and they can make a good decision. Now, with young men, there is a strength, there's a vitality, there is a quickness that is there. But with older men, there is a greater amount of experience and wisdom and a more of a dependability that has been set in, and that something has to be done right. Well, you bring in an older person to see to it. Now you're going to think that what I'm about to say, it could be wrong, and that's okay. But it is true. It is true that in World War II, we're bringing World War II in it again. In World War II, this thanks to Joseph Stalin had this massive purge that just went through everything. It went through the military and, of course, and the politicians and citizenry, of just millions of people were being killed indiscriminately. And he found himself in a very bad place when it came that Hitler is invading the Soviet Union, because he killed all of the generals. He had killed them all. And so you had younger men, and I used the number 40 earlier for NASA, but the oldest generals that the Soviet Union had were in their 40s. But a general, and this is noted, a general who is in his 50s has a greater skill than one in his 40s. And one that's in his 60s has a greater skill than either of those. That age does matter. And I remember seeing, it was years ago, it was one of these human interest stories. It was about this kid who he was brilliant. He had graduated high school at a very young age. He had gone to university and had gone to medical school, and he had gotten out, and he was young. And that in and of itself is that's an interesting story, that's for sure. But honestly, I wouldn't want a physician, regardless of how intelligent he may be, I wouldn't want a physician that's terribly young. I just wouldn't. You don't have enough experience yet. You got to get the experience, yeah. But one of the things he said, someone asked him concerning his age, and he said, "You don't gain anything by living longer. We haven't learned anything yet." I know now he would have a completely different perspective on it. Completely different. Because he'd be considerably older now. But yeah, you do. There is a reason why you have an apprenticeship for a number of years, then you go up into, and I don't know all the categories and all these different trades, then you go up, and it's not until you have done these things for a certain number of years that now you are full-fledged craftsman. You are full-fledged. You have the skills necessary to do this, because it takes experience to do it. And that's hands-on, day after day, year after year. You have gained it. And just by living, you gain knowledge. By experience, you gain knowledge. You know that certain things don't work. And you can even see it from an older child speaking to a younger child, like a 9-year-old speaking to a 3-year-old. 9-year-old knows a whole lot more than a 3-year-old, and can help the 3-year-old in that there are certain things you don't know yet. Let me help you with this. And but like I said, every age has some kind of advantage to it, something. When you are young, you can, especially very young, you can pick up on language, multiple languages. You can pick up, your learning is extraordinary, but your focus on anything is kind of blurry. It is trying to focus on something, and then you get a little older, and it's like you're being rewired and older still. But There is a glory in at any age. Now we come to verse 30. Blows that hurt blows that hurt cleanse away evil, as do stripes the inner depths of the man. This concerns just punishment and laws that actually have teeth. If the punishment does not fit the crime, as in way too lenient, that the punishment is just a joke, you might as well not have punished the person at all. All right, and I have in my day wanted to bang my head on a wall with a parent who would give a child, this is quiet time, or this is your punishment is that you've got to it's basically nothing. You've got to stand in the corner, and it means nothing to the child. It means nothing to the child. And somehow a major infraction is going to be punished in the lightest sort of way. And the child doesn't change. Or this is time out. They don't take the time out. They don't take the time out. They just continue. Well, you get more time out. I didn't have the first second of time out. How can I have more? And it becomes a joke to the child. But when let's talk about going beyond a child, that there has to be a punishment that one would want to avoid. There were places like Sing Sing in this country, or Alcatraz, that if you saw it, you wouldn't want to go there. You need to rethink. You need to rethink, because those places were horrible. They were nightmares. And there would have been others that would have been just as bad. That you're not here to watch TV, and you're not here to go work out in a gym. This is prison. And you'll know it's prison. You will know it. And blows that hurt cleanse away sin. Well, now, do not think, and I know that you don't, but I want everyone to make sure that punishment on something does not take sins away. Those sins are still there. Now, what this is talking about is someone who is reforming themselves, but that record is still there. That's got to be taken care of. That has to be taken care of. Just by the act of being punished, does that mean? And one has done their time. One has paid their debt to society. One has done that. That doesn't mean you've paid the debt for your sins. That doesn't mean that at all. When it comes to between you and God, you may have reformed. That's good. Keep going. But that doesn't mean those sins have been taken away. But they can be through Christ. All right, they can be. It's not by an act of punishment that this is done. It is taken away by Christ. All right, as do stripes the inner depths of the heart. All right, this, and also we need to understand that this may be the result, but it's not a guarantee. Because we have places like Proverbs 17:10 where it talks about 100 blows to a fool, and the fool didn't learn anything. The fool just remains, it's a fool that's hurt at the moment, but still a fool. And this is, all these have to be put in light of each other for a total teaching. Now, let's go to chapter 21, verse 1. And once again, I speak of providence in some of these proverbs. I think we've got another one here. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Like the rivers of waters, like the rivers of water. He turns it wherever He wishes. And that's God doing that. That's not the king doing that. That's God doing that. There are things that can be done that he is being guided by God. He's being guided by Jehovah. And this is moving kings and kingdoms. Now, if God does not do this, how is it that God rules in the kingdom of men? If He cannot move the actions of a king, the hand or the like a river of water turning the king however he wishes, if He cannot do that, that doesn't mean that the king does something righteous now and now he's a righteous king. It doesn't mean that. But there will be certain things done that God's hand was behind it. You have those such as Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar is going to be used by God to punish Judah. Was Nebuchadnezzar a righteous man before Daniel? Because I'm going to say Nebuchadnezzar wrote some things, had it published, some things that's a righteous man who's saying that. He's saying more than some in Judah and Israel would not have said. He's saying it. Those worshipers of Baal would never have said it. But he is. Now, you have others such as the Pharaoh of the Exodus. Was God manipulating that man? Because He says He is. He says, I will harden Pharaoh's heart. And then we're shown how He did it. He knew what that man would do. And we could think of it like a simple game of chess, of where God knows, if I move my people over here, He is going to respond to it. And He's going to fall right into a trap. He's going to respond to it. God knows exactly what He will do. And did Pharaoh harden his own heart? Pharaoh's the one that had the heart. Yes. Did God manipulate him knowing he will do that? Yes. Is God guilty of the decision that man made? No. He's not guilty at all. He's not guilty of that man having a hard heart. He has shown him by way of 10 plagues you cannot win. How dumb can you be? All right, you have an extremely hard heart, and you're willing for your entire nation to be devastated in order to keep Israel put. Okay. Now, let's just read our verse again. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, like the rivers of waters. He turns it wherever He wishes. Okay. Now, getting back to Nebuchadnezzar. Yep, he was used to go against Judah, to bring his full army there and take Judah and Jerusalem. But guess what also God did to Nebuchadnezzar? 7 times he did it. Nebuchadnezzar's out eating grass in the field. All right? That wasn't Nebuchadnezzar's choice, actually. That was not his choice. And God can turn him like He could turn a river. And of course, God can turn any river He wants. If He wants to change where the oceans are, He can do it. All right? And so here is a man that may be the most powerful person in his nation. And yes, God can use him to do His will, whether that man wants to or not. He can, and I'm talking about like with Nebuchadnezzar, just bringing this madness onto, God bringing this madness onto Nebuchadnezzar. And that the decisions he makes can definitely change things quickly for his nation and for other nations as well. It's like with some of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great prophesied also in the book of Daniel. Alexander the Great bringing the Greek Empire against the Persians. The Persians, Medes and the Persians were the empire that he is destroying. And I fully believe that there were battles where at the last moment Alexander is rearranging his troops. He's rearranging. And I thoroughly believe that was by the providence of God that Alexander is going to win because of these last minute decisions that were made and the providence of God in there. And of course, he is fulfilling prophecy by defeating the Medes and the Persians and everybody else because he was that third empire spoken of in the book of Daniel. Of course, starting with Babylon, then the Medes and the Persians and the Greeks. Okay. Now, we go to this, 21 and verse 2. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the hearts. This goes right back to what we were talking about in 20 and 23. Diverse weights are an abomination to the Lord. That we were giving that an application of spiritual application, and that of sin and righteousness, and how God would weigh you as opposed to how you would weigh yourself, as opposed to how you would weigh your actions. The Lord weighs the hearts, but every way of a man is right in his own eyes. Well, yeah. Anybody can justify it. Anybody can justify it. I remember that it was with some of the Manson family who were later on, of course, they were incarcerated, and those that were guilty of murder, and later in time, after decades of being interviewed, and they could still justify what they did. They could still do it to justify what it is of murdering these people, and in a horrific way, a terrifying way. But they could still justify it. Well, how? Every way of a man is right in his own eyes. It most certainly can be. No matter what it is, you can justify it if you want to. No matter, because you're special, because it had to be done. The excuses are endless, and the ways of making it right in your own eyes is endless. But we're going to need to end it today. I thank everybody for being here, and next week we continue on, hopefully. Thank you.